As we enter our 60s, many of us begin to look at our daily meals with a different perspective. Food is no longer just about taste or long-standing habits, but about a question we silently ask ourselves. Is this truly good for my health? I often tell my patients that our diet is like a walking cane in old age. Choose the right one, and every step feels lighter. Choose the wrong one, and every step becomes heavier with worry. The truth is, some of the foods we've known and trusted for years, those that feel so familiar, can quietly push our blood sugar higher and bring us closer to the complications of diabetes. Before we dive into which foods are best avoided, I want us to pause for a moment. Because often what we believe to be true based on tradition, old habits, or friendly advice doesn't always match what modern science has discovered. And it's exactly in that gap between belief and fact where our journey to better health truly begins. So what are the most common mistakes that people over 60 make when it comes to food and blood sugar? Let's take a closer look together. Myth 1. Eating fruit is always good for people with diabetes. Many patients believe that fruit is nature's gift and can be eaten without limits. The truth is, not all fruits are safe. High glycemic fruits like watermelon and pineapple can cause blood sugar to rise quickly. Research shows that choosing low GI fruits or pairing fruit with protein and fiber can reduce this impact on blood sugar. Myth 2. White rice and whole wheat bread are the same. Some people think that as long as they eat smaller portions, it doesn't matter if it's white rice or whole wheat bread. In reality, both refined white rice and most store-bought whole wheat bread lack fiber, causing blood sugar to spike rapidly. On the other hand, sprouted grain bread or brown rice helps the body absorb carbs more slowly and steadily. Myth 3. A little French fries won't hurt. Many believe that having fries occasionally is harmless, but studies have shown that eating fried potatoes regularly can increase the risk of type 2 diabetes by up to 20%. In contrast, baked or steamed sweet potatoes are a far safer option for blood sugar management. It's often these small daily choices that quietly make blood sugar so difficult to control. Once we can see the myths and the facts, the next step is to look straight at those high glycemic foods and learn which ones we need to limit in our meals. Food number 1, sugary drinks, the sweet trap for people with diabetes. In more than 30 years of practice, I've noticed one common enemy among nearly all my patients with diabetes: soda cans, bottled juices, and even those so-called sports drinks marketed as healthy. They taste refreshing, sweet, and comforting, but they are a double-edged sword for people in their 60s and beyond. What makes these drinks so dangerous is the massive amount of refined sugar they contain, with almost no fiber at all. Science has shown that without fiber to slow absorption, sugar rushes straight into the bloodstream, causing blood sugar to spike within minutes. A Harvard study even found that drinking sugary beverages regularly increases the risk of type 2 diabetes and heart disease. For someone already living with diabetes, the harm is multiplied. I still remember one of my patients, Susan, age 65. She came to me complaining of tremors and fatigue every afternoon. After some questions, I discovered she had a habit of drinking just one can of soda at lunch to stay alert. Within a month of replacing soda with water or unsweetened herbal tea, her blood sugar levels became much more stable, and she felt her energy last longer throughout the day. So I often ask my patients this question: are you drinking to quench your thirst, or are you drinking to make things harder for your body? Instead of soda-packaged juices or sweetened beverages, choose gentle, safe options. Water, sparkling water with no sugar, or even a cup of warm green tea. Small choices like this may seem simple, but over time they create profound changes in health. By refusing the false sweetness in a glass, you are choosing a safer and stronger path for your golden years. Food number 2, cakes. Cookies and pastries, sweet temptations with hidden risks. I often tell my patients, not everything that brings you happiness in the moment will bring you health in the long run. And nothing illustrates this better than cakes, cookies, or that creamy slice of pie we sometimes reward ourselves with. At 60, many people enjoy an afternoon cup of tea with a little pastry. It feels harmless, doesn't it? But the reality is far more complicated. These baked goods usually contain a dangerous trio: refined sugar, refined flour, and saturated fats. Together, they create what I call a blood sugar bomb. Once eaten, these ingredients break down quickly, flooding the bloodstream with sugar. That sudden spike not only causes fatigue and dizziness, but over time worsens insulin resistance. Research consistently shows that diets high in processed desserts raise the risk of type 2 diabetes and heart disease. I remember Michael, one of my patients at 68. He had the habit of eating 2 or 3 cookies at night to help him sleep, but his HbA1c kept climbing and his sleep was getting worse, not better. When he replaced cookies with a handful of unsalted almonds or a cup of plain Greek yogurt, he noticed a dramatic difference: steadier blood sugar and deeper, more restful sleep. Another problem with sweets is that they trick your sense of fullness. Blood sugar spikes fast, then crashes, leaving you hungrier than before, creating a vicious cycle of cravings and overeating. And as our metabolism slows with age, those extra calories only add to weight gain and more health risks. So the real question is that cookie truly worth trading away your blood sugar stability and long-term health? If you crave something sweet, let it come from safer natural sources: a few berries rich in fiber or a crisp apple slice with almond butter. Sweet enough, nourishing, and without the dangerous roller coaster. When we learn to put our health above short-lived temptations, aging becomes less about restrictions and more about enjoying life with freedom and peace of mind. Sweet desserts aren't the only hidden danger on our plates. Sometimes it's the savory foods, the ones we reach for when we're tired, busy, or just want something quick that carry risks we don't notice right away. And among them, one of the most common culprits is fast food. There's a particular item almost everyone has tried at least once, but it quietly pushes blood sugar higher every time. Let's talk about French fries. Food number 3, fast food, especially French fries. In my clinic, I often hear patients in their 60s say with a smile, "Doctor, sometimes I just want to treat myself to a small order of French fries. Surely that can't hurt." I understand the temptation. The smell, the crunch, and the taste of hot fries are hard to resist. But the truth is not nearly as comforting. Potatoes themselves are not the enemy. But once they're deep fried in oil at high temperatures, they become a food with an extremely high glycemic index. That means after eating them, your blood sugar will surge almost immediately. A large Harvard study found that people who ate French fries regularly had up to a 20% higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes. That number is far from trivial, especially for those of us already living with diabetes. I recall one patient, David, age 63, who had the habit of stopping by a fast food drive-thru 2 or 3 times a week. He claimed it was just a small serving of fries, but within months his weight crept up and his blood sugar levels became increasingly erratic. When I encouraged him to swap fries for baked sweet potatoes with a side salad, he hesitated at first, but within weeks he noticed lighter energy, more stable blood sugars, and even a small drop in weight. French fries are not only about blood sugar. The oil used in deep frying, often reheated multiple times, contains unhealthy fats that can raise cholesterol and harm the heart. Combined with the habit of eating quickly and mindlessly fries, can trigger a dangerous cycle: cravings, false satiety, and the urge to snack again soon after. So I often ask, are a few minutes of crispy satisfaction worth years of health risk? The good news is we always have alternatives: baked or steamed sweet potatoes, roasted potatoes with olive oil, or even a warm vegetable soup can provide comfort without the silent harm. We don't need to give up flavor. We just need to choose flavor that also protects our health. In this way, every bite becomes not just enjoyable, but a gift to our future self. Food number 4, high GI fruits: watermelon and pineapple. When we talk about fruit, most people immediately think of something natural, healthy, and safe. And that's true in many cases, but not all fruits are created equal. I often hear older patients tell me, "Doctor, I don't eat candy or cake anymore. I just have watermelon or pineapple to satisfy my sweet tooth." That should be healthy, right? It sounds reasonable, but the reality is more complex. Fruits like watermelon and pineapple are refreshing, juicy, and sweet, but they also have a very high glycemic index. That means the sugars in these fruits are absorbed quickly, causing blood sugar to spike sharply. For younger people with a healthy insulin response, this may not cause much trouble. But in our 60s, with slower metabolism and often some degree of insulin resistance, such a spike can feel like a sudden wave crashing into the body, leaving us tired, dizzy, or unstable. I remember Linda, age 66, who loved starting her mornings with a large bowl of watermelon. She believed it would help her lose weight and detox. Yet paradoxically, her weight didn't budge, and her blood sugar swung up and down. Once I explained and encouraged her to swap in berries, apples, or pears, lower GI fruits rich in fiber, she agreed to try. A few months later, her HbA1c had improved, and she told me she had more steady energy throughout the day. This doesn't mean people with diabetes can never enjoy watermelon or pineapple again. In moderation and paired with fiber or protein, like a few small slices with Greek yogurt or nuts, it can sometimes fit in. The real danger lies in eating these fruits alone in large amounts and regularly. So I often pose this question: are we seeking sweetness to enjoy life or allowing it to control our health? When we choose smarter fruits, berries, citrus apples, we don't have to give up sweetness. We simply enjoy it in a way that brings pleasure and safety at the same time. Food number 5. White rice and refined carbs. In everyday life across the United States, white rice may not be the staple it is in Asia, but it still shows up often in takeout meals from Chinese restaurants and Mexican burritos, or in those quick-cook rice packs at the grocery store. Many of my older patients tell me, "Doctor, I only eat a small bowl. It shouldn't be a problem." But the truth is quite different. Just like white bread or regular pasta, white rice has been stripped of its bran and germ, the very parts that hold fiber, vitamins, and minerals. What remains is refined starch that quickly turns into sugar in the bloodstream. Studies, including research from Harvard School of Public Health, have shown that frequent consumption of white rice significantly increases the risk of type 2 diabetes. For those already living with diabetes, that sharp rise in blood sugar after a meal can leave you tired, thirsty, and hungry again soon after. I recall a patient, Ellen, age 64, who often ordered takeout meals that included white rice. She thought that because she didn't eat it every day, it wasn't harmful, but her HbA1c remained stubbornly high. When I suggested replacing white rice with brown rice quinoa or even cauliflower rice at home, she noticed a major improvement: steadier blood sugars and a feeling of fullness that lasted longer. The key here is not absolute restriction, but smart substitution. Whole grain bread, whole wheat pasta, quinoa, or brown rice all digest more slowly, preventing those dangerous blood sugar spikes. So I always ask, do you want your meal to end with steady energy or with a roller coaster that leaves your body struggling? The answer lies in the choices we make today. Each small swap is an investment in the health and vitality of our tomorrows. Food number 6. Instant cereals and granola bars. Convenience isn't always healthy. In today's busy lifestyle, especially as we grow older and want things simple, instant cereals and packaged granola bars seem like the perfect choice. Just a few minutes and you've got breakfast or a quick snack. Many of my patients in their 60s tell me, "Doctor, I switched to granola bars because I thought they were healthier than candy." But when we look closer at the labels, the truth tells another story. Most instant cereals and granola bars are packed with refined sugar, processed grains, and artificial flavors. They're engineered to taste sweet and crunchy, but that's exactly why they're dangerous for blood sugar. Once eaten, the sugar rushes into the bloodstream, spiking blood glucose quickly. Not long after, it crashes down, leaving fatigue and renewed hunger. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition has shown that people who frequently consume sugary cereals have a higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes compared to those who eat minimally processed whole grains. I remember Thomas, 61, who relied on granola bars after his workouts, believing they were a safe energy boost. Yet his blood sugar monitor told a different story: sharp spikes every single time. When I guided him to switch to steel-cut oats cooked with berries and a handful of walnuts, his blood sugar stabilized, and he felt satisfied for hours. The lesson is simple: convenience doesn't always mean health. At our age, the body thrives on slow, steady fuel. A warm bowl of oats, whole grain toast with almond butter, or even fresh fruit with nuts provides real energy without the hidden trap of blood sugar spikes. So I often ask, do you want your breakfast to set you up for a day of strength or to ignite a sugar roller coaster before the morning ends? The answer lies right there in the choices we make in the grocery aisle and our kitchens. Food number 7, white bread and regular whole wheat bread. A common misunderstanding. I often hear my older patients tell me with confidence, "Doctor, don't worry, I gave up white bread. Now I only eat whole wheat bread." At first glance, that sounds like a smart move. After all, the word whole wheat gives the impression that the bread is made with whole grains full of fiber and nutrients. But unfortunately, that's not always the case. The truth is, most commercial white bread, and even many so-called whole wheat breads sold in supermarkets, are still made from refined flour. The bran and germ, which contain fiber, vitamins, and minerals, have been stripped away. What's left is starch that quickly turns into sugar once digested. These breads have a high glycemic index, meaning they can spike blood sugar levels rapidly after a meal. For people in their 60s living with diabetes or pre-diabetes, that spike can be especially harmful. Research in the British Journal of Nutrition found that those who consumed breads made from refined flour several times a week had a significantly higher risk of type 2 diabetes than those who ate true whole grains. I recall George, 67, who thought he was being safe by switching to whole wheat bread from the grocery store. Yet his blood sugar still spiked every morning. Only after replacing it with sprouted grain bread did he notice a big difference: longer-lasting energy, fewer cravings, and improved HbA1c over a few months. The lesson here is that names can be misleading. Whole wheat doesn't always mean whole grain, and a slightly darker slice of bread doesn't guarantee more fiber. Reading labels carefully is essential. Look for bread with whole grains listed first, with higher fiber and lower sugar content. So I often ask my patients, are you choosing bread for the name on the package or the true nourishment inside? When we choose wisely, we don't have to give up bread at all. We simply enjoy it in a way that keeps blood sugar steady and health protected. Food number 8. Potatoes. When preparation turns a familiar food into a burden. Potatoes are a beloved part of many meals in American households, from mashed potatoes at Thanksgiving to baked potatoes at family barbecues. On their own, potatoes aren't inherently harmful, but the way we prepare and eat them often transforms this familiar comfort food into a real challenge for blood sugar. Potatoes are naturally high in starch, and when consumed in large portions or prepared the wrong way, such as frying them in oil or loading them with buttercream and cheese, they become a high glycemic food. This means they break down quickly into sugar, causing blood sugar to spike. Even mashed potatoes, often thought of as a soft side dish, can send glucose levels soaring when made with heavy cream and butter. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that frequent potato consumption, especially in fried form, is linked with an increased risk of type 2 diabetes. I think of Carol, a 62-year-old patient who enjoyed a bowl of mashed potatoes every night before bed. She thought it was harmless comfort food, but her morning blood sugar readings told another story: consistently high. Once she switched to baked sweet potatoes or boiled potatoes eaten with the skin and paired with vegetables, her blood sugar became noticeably more stable. The lesson here isn't that potatoes must be eliminated, but that preparation and portion matter. Baking or steaming, eating them with the skin, and combining them with fiber-rich vegetables and lean protein slows the absorption of sugar, making them much safer for people with diabetes. So I often ask, are you truly savoring the natural goodness of potatoes, or are you letting the way they're prepared turn them into a burden for your body? The choice isn't about giving up what we love, but about enjoying it wisely, with balance, awareness, and health in mind. Conclusion: protecting health through small daily choices. As we reflect on life in our 60s and beyond, it becomes clear that dramatic one-time decisions don't shape health. It's built through the small, consistent choices we make every single day, from the drink we pour into a glass to the bread we place on our plate to the way we prepare a simple potato. Every one of these choices matters. The truth is, many of the foods we've trusted and enjoyed for years, foods that feel so familiar, can quietly push our blood sugar higher and open the door to complications of diabetes. But the encouraging news is that no one has to live in fear or restriction. Science and real-life stories show us that smart substitutions make all the difference. A soda replaced with herbal tea, a cookie swapped for a handful of berries. White rice exchanged for quinoa, each small change builds towards stronger, steadier health. I'll never forget a patient who once told me, "Doctor, I thought I had to give up all pleasure in food to stay healthy. Now I see I just needed to choose differently." That is the message I want to leave you with. Aging doesn't have to mean giving up joy. It can mean enjoying life more freely because your body is supported, not sabotaged by your choices. So let me ask you this. Tomorrow, which one small choice will you make that your body will thank you for? Health doesn't come from miracles. It comes from the wisdom of today's decisions. If this video has helped you, please give it a like, share your experiences in the comments, And don't forget to subscribe to Health Hype Zone. Each week, we'll explore practical tips and inspiring stories that can help you live not just longer, but healthier and happier. Because the golden years are not just about adding years to life, they're about adding life to years.